Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back to the Food Fight Club Dojo. My name is Charles, and I will be sharing with you today a little bit of a contrary to the last video, which the last one was the harmful health effects of yo-yo dieting, and today we're going to do the 10 healthful benefits of intuitive eating. All right. First off, I'd like to say thank you for joining, and I would appreciate any help you can give me with the channel. That is liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting. Comment any questions. If you do have more personal type questions, my email is in the About section. So it's down there at the bottom, foodfightclub369 at gmail.com. And you can email me and, anything you want. Let me know. Um, I'm going to start offering one-on-one coaching. So if you're interested in that, please, let me know through an email and we'll correspond. So getting right to it now, the 10 healthful benefits of intuitive eating. They are not arranged in any order of importance, you know. So I'm just going to start with number one, which is decreased cravings. Okay. Decreased cravings. So as you establish trust with your body and food, learning to honor hunger and fullness with the absence of food rules and diet culture, you will naturally feel a decrease in food cravings. So, when we have cravings, when we want things, they're usually things that we feel we can't have. So, if I told you you can't have coffee in the morning, you're going to want coffee even more. If I tell you don't think of green monkeys, your brain is automatically going to think of green monkeys. It's just how it is. All right. That's the code. Stop restricting and you'll stop craving. Okay. Respect your fullness, your hunger, all those, important principles of intuitive eating, and you will stop craving. Now, there's a difference between, having a yen for something or a craving, but usually the cravings come for all the bad stuff or what we call bad stuff. But there is no bad stuff on intuitive eating because the cravings stop. And if you want ice cream, you just have it. If you want a chocolate bar, you just have it. You don't binge on it. You don't obsess over it. You don't lament over what you just did. You just have it and move on. And the longer you do it, the better you get at it. Okay. It's a skill like everything else. So, number two, which was a big one for me, is enhanced mental health. Okay. Because when I started intuitive eating, I was at a breaking point. I was at an all time low in my life as far as the food situation was concerned, the dieting situation. So that helped me. Intuitive eating helped me like tremendously, better than any other modality, diet, psychology, whatever. It helped me the most. So researchers found intuitive eating practitioners experienced lower levels of anxiety, depression, and stress related to food and body image. Okay. Reduced guilt and shame around food. All right. Lower emotional stress surrounding meals. We've all felt that, you know. So let's not kid ourselves. And the last one is increased energy and focus on other aspects of life, such as work, hobbies, and daily challenges and chores. So your mind is not crowded with all that food stuff, all that obsession, all that, you know, worrying about and all that stuff. You'll see as you go through it, as you become better at it, you will become a little more mentally free of all that's dragging you down. Okay. So you will have more mental energy for, maybe you'll join a gym or maybe you'll take walks or maybe you'll learn how to cook. Maybe you will pick up a hobby that you had when you were a child and, that makes you feel amazing. Maybe you'll start painting again or drawing again or whatever. So it does definitely 100% hands down enhance your mental health. Okay, that's an important one. Um, Number 3 is improved cardiovascular markers. So we see through research that intuitive eaters have improved cardiovascular markers. They show that physical health improves when you're an intuitive eater. Okay, which again kind of supports the fact that being overweight isn't the be all end all of good health or bad health. Just because you're overweight doesn't mean you have bad health, that you're going to die from this or that, or you're going to suffer from this or that. It's what do you call it? They say it's causation. Correlation is not causation. Correlation meaning more overweight people have blah blah blah, high blood pressure, diabetes, whatever. Um, it's not really correlated with it. Okay, it's probably more restrictive dieting and avoiding certain things. And we got into that in the last video, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse. Intuitive eaters have shown to experience drops in triglycerides and improvements in HDL, which is the good cholesterol levels, which both support long-term heart health. Okay, it's true. It happens with intuitive eating. So number 4 is improved body image. Okay, intuitive eaters develop higher body appreciation. Okay, so you learn to appreciate your body for the miraculous machine it is. Okay, um, you have greater body satisfaction and less self objectification through focusing on how your body feels rather than how it looks. Okay, and this was big for me, being a man. Always being overweight. I, uh, had a big problem with the way I looked. But now that I've been through, intuitive eating for the better part of 8 years now, um, I'm not so much hung up on how I look anymore. It's pretty amazing when you think about where I came from and where I'm at now. Um, I was all those years ago, gym, no gym, exercising, not exercising, doing this, doing that to try and improve the way I looked. I overlooked the way I felt, and now that I feel better inside, I feel better about the way I look outside, and I don't compare myself to anyone. We're gonna get to that. Uh, well, that's the next point. Reduced comparison and more acceptance of body size and shape. See, I already told you about that one before. Comparison is a killer. Okay, when you compare yourself in any capacity to other people, you're just like killing your dreams. Okay, so you are your own individual, and you can be the best you that you can be. You can't compare yourself to professional athletes, actresses, actors, whatever. You can't do that. Even to friends who have this or that or are this way and that way. You just have to learn how to be yourself, look for yourself inside, and expose that inner self, to the world around you. Okay. Um, and the last one is intuitive eating increases self confidence and image. So yeah, it all gets bundled together there. And you'll find as I go through the rest that there's a lot of common themes in the supporting of all these facts because it's all about intuitive eating. All right. So number 5 is better digestion. All right. Paying closer attention to hunger and satiety cues allows the digestive system to function more optimally. Okay. So, maybe you're not overloading yourself at every meal. Maybe you're just listening to your body and eating more of this or less of that, or you're not eating snacks in between each meal because you feel deprived and you feel restricted. Um, Eventually, once you decompress from that diet culture mindset and you start getting your feet under you, you'll see you will feel better, and you'll be probably eating less, and just adjust to the whole feeling your body. So the next one is intuitive eating. Uh, Helps digestion with better nutrient absorption and reduced gastrointestinal stress. Example, bloating, heaviness, and digestive comfort. So you're not eating gross, disgusting rice cakes that make you bloated or whatever. You're eating real food and you're not sweating it. So you're able to digest. Um, and then it also aids in digestion by giving yourself consistent and predictable eating patterns. So you know by going off of all that stupid diet stuff, you can pace yourself with your meals as you learn your hunger cues. You may find that you're hungry twice a day or four times a day or whatever. You don't have to follow a 6 meal a day plan or whatever nonsense that is. All right. So, number 6, we have improved interoceptive awareness. You may say, Charles, what's interoceptive awareness? I'm going to tell you. Interoception is the ability to perceive physical sensations that arise from within your body. Okay. We feel this all the time, but we discount it. Like when you have to pee, that's interoceptive awareness. Okay. Um, let's see. I'm going to read a couple of paragraphs from the fourth edition Intuitive Eating book. Here we go. Ultimately, this is page 4, first two paragraphs. Ultimately, intuitive eating is a personal process of honoring health by listening and responding to the direct messages of the body in order to get your needs met. The principles of intuitive eating work either by enhancing interoceptive awareness or by removing the obstacles to perceiving and responding to the felt sensations in the body. The obstacles are usually from the mind in the form of rules, beliefs, and thoughts. Diet culture. The challenge in today's diet culture is that many people do not value, let alone trust, their body sensations. We're so disconnected from our bodies. It's all gobbledygook that we picked up from the outside. It's like getting back to the inside and taking care of yourself. And we resume. Instead, they eat based on externality. That is, eating according to rules and diet plans, which ultimately create confusion between mind and body. Interoceptive awareness is based on inner sensation, which is an inside job. That's why using external methods to eat, such as counting macros, calories, or points, does not help you connect to your body. All right. A lot of wisdom in that book. I love it. It's great. And I think the last one here I have is interoception allows you to recognize other bodily sensations like thirst, exhaustion, full bladder, as I mentioned before, and also states have feelings in the body you may be aware of, but never really made the connection. Emotions like anxiety, fear, grief, anger, joy, and love all have their own bodily feelings. And this is where we get that saying, trust your gut. Okay. Trust your gut. Where did that come from? How did people know that we have that connection to our body no matter what we're feeling? There's a whole field, I forget what it's called, where you kind of determine the feeling you have, you assign a color to it. It's like a healing thing. But anyway, let's not get hung up on that. Let's go to number 7. reduced stress and cortisol levels. Hmm, here we go. Intuitive eating, okay. Take away food rules, calorie counting, restriction mindset, mental and physiological stress automatically go down. When you walk away from diet culture and rules and restriction, it may take a little bit because, we're trained that way, we're brainwashed into it, but the stress will go away and you will feel like a different person. Okay. And this has a lot to do with the mental aspects of it too, where we talked about the mental health. It has a big part of it. And I've called it a pressure cooker a lot. It feels like you're in a pressure cooker, constant pressure of having to do this and that and watch this and watch that. And when you walk away from it, you can finally take like a deep breath and enjoy the relaxation of it and trying to like get back to your real self. It's an inside job, as she said in the book. Um, when you remove the mental burden of food policing, the food police, you can lower cortisol levels, which is also beneficial for hormonal balance and immune function. When you are so stressed out, your immune system doesn't function well. When your digestive system is bogged down, your immune system doesn't function well. Okay, there's a lot of factors that go into that, and I think hormonally, when you're getting a more varied diet and you're not worried about eating friggin' butter, your hormonal system can rebuild itself because hormones are all made of fats, cholesterols, and things of that nature, as Arnold would say. I have some little starred items here. Um, Meals can fit lifestyle without strict rules. Okay. So your meals can, if you're running around and you're too busy to eat, you can eat a bigger meal at brunch time or a bigger meal at dinner. You can fit your meals to your lifestyle. You don't have to be restricted to certain things at certain times. Another point is reduced anxiety around social events and gatherings. So this was a big thing for me, like being around other people who are, where there's a meal involved or food involved. I would always be like the shy or bashful one to be like the first one to eat, or I'd be thinking other people are gonna watch what I eat because I'm a big guy and they want to see what it takes to get a big guy full. You know, so when you take away all that, you can just relax. And I remember specifically, probably a year or so or two after I started intuitive eating and studying it and trying to internalize it, I was it was I think Christmas Eve, and you know us Italians, we have like a big spread, a big antipasto, and you start eating all this stuff, and you know I, in the past I was like, I was insatiable, like I just had to keep eating everything. And that first year I kind of realized, like, okay, I don't have to like stuff my face. It was pretty cool. It was like a weight was lifted, and I went at it and I started eating a little bit here and there, and I actually didn't overeat at the beginning of the holiday. So I enjoyed the other foods later on even more. So that's my little story about it. The last little point is, over time, reduced stress contributes to better mental and physical health outcomes and allows us to enjoy a more balanced and fulfilling relationship with food. A little food for thought. Excuse me. Number 8, we have lower rates of disordered eating. Okay. Now, in my mind, I think people come to intuitive eating because of it, disordered eating or eating disorder. But some people come to it just because they are sick of diet culture and strict regimes and all that. So when you are an intuitive eater, you can forget about pretty much uh, getting into disordered eating. And I always say um, restrictive diet is the gateway drug to disordered eating or eating disorders, because one thing leads to another and to another, and before you know it, you've got disordered eating in some shape or form. Okay. um, Intuitive eating removes food labels like good and bad. Okay. We label foods all kinds of things. um, this neutrality reduces the restrict and binge cycle, which significantly reduces the risk of developing clinical eating disorders or chronic yo-yo dieting also. Intuitive eating supports steady and balanced eating rhythms. Intuitive eating fosters confidence in making food choices without guilt. Guilt is like a huge thing, guilt and shame, when it comes to, oh, I ate this, I ate that. Um, and you can't tell me when you're digesting, it doesn't affect you when you feel negative about what you just did. All right. Intuitive eating helps build sustainable eating habits that prioritize long term health over short term results. Okay. So we were all duped into thinking we need to be thin to be healthy. We don't need to be thin to be healthy. Okay. This is a total, um, uh, oh my God, I can't remember the word, but all right. Number 9 is increased metabolic stability and supports sustainable weight management. So I made like a double header there because they both have a lot to do with, kind of the same idea. Okay. Intuitive eating encourages listening to your body's cues, allowing weight to stabilize naturally without obsession over the scale. Okay. I haven't weighed myself in over 8 years. Okay. And I'm not 500 pounds. Okay. The scale is a blunt instrument. I've said it before. You could be 5 pounds heavier one day, process all the water in your system, and boom, the next day you're 5 pounds less. And if you don't mind me saying, it's a mind fuck. So I stay away from the scale. You will know if you're losing or gaining weight just by how your clothes fit. Okay. And let me just say this too: if you're wearing clothes that are too tight, way too loose, you know, you're not doing yourself a service either. Okay, so treat yourself a little bit, buy yourself clothes that feel good, that make you look good, that don't hide you or don't, show you too much, because you have to look and feel confident when you go out there and, face the world. All right, and there's nothing wrong with having clothes that fit nice and look nice. Okay, you'll feel a lot better about yourself if you do that. Take my advice. No more chronic dieting that causes the body to slow metabolism due to perceived famine. Okay. So, we've been through that too. When you chronic, diet, restrictive diet, your metabolism shuts down and, tries to, your body's trying to save your ass. So don't do that to your body, because it's only going to, you'll never beat your biology. I like to say that too, because, you know, you can't undo what God has done to make you, help you live. Okay. So stop starving yourself with the restrictive dieting and shutting down your metabolism. Then, you go off your diet and you gain some weight and your metabolism's still slow and you gain even more. It's just a vicious cycle. So stop it. Knock it off. Intuitive eating helps you maintain a steady metabolic rate by providing the body with consistent, adequate food. That's what it's all about. When you give your body consistent, adequate food or fuel, um, it will start to register in your brain like, okay, there's no famine, we're good, we're getting food, time to drop a little weight, maybe. Maybe. I'm not guaranteeing you because this is not a diet. But when your body realizes that, oh, okay, we're doing good, then you might find yourself re- recomposing. Your body might recompose a little bit. You may feel a little bit more muscular. You may feel a little less bloated. You know, it's a miracle. I'm telling you. And the last one is kind of like a bonus because I already did 10, but I felt like I had to, talk about this. And it's a good closer to the video because it gives us a little long-term perspective. Okay. So number 11 or the bonus is long-term sustainability and consistency. Consistency is the key. Okay. Intuitive eating is a lifelong practice. It could take years to acclimate to it. This is a commitment, guys. This is not a fly-by-night fad thing. Intuitive eating has been around 30 years. I think there's been over 300 studies proving its validity. So if you can commit to it and learn it, and like we said, it's an inside job, okay? You really have to learn it and make it part of your everyday life and your mental cues and everything. So you need to commit to it long term. We all start from a different place. I started later on in life from a pretty extreme spot. There may be other people that start in their teens and it's, maybe they straighten themselves out in 6 months. You know, for me, after 8 years, the damage was so deep with me, it still takes a lot of thought and a lot of, you know, watching what I'm doing and being conscious of what I'm doing and aware. So it really depends on the place you're starting in. Intuitive eating doesn't rely on willpower or deprivation. Due to this fact, people are more likely to maintain healthy eating behaviors over decades rather than weeks. Okay. Hopefully, I have a couple of good decades left in me. I'll be 59 in a couple of weeks. So, you know, give yourself that chance to be healthy long term. You know, so intuitive eating prevents yo yo dieting and the associated metabolic disruptions that we spoke about just before. Intuitive eating reduces or eradicates obsession with numbers on the scale and calorie tracking. We spoke about that too. Intuitive eating encourages consistent, long-term, healthy eating patterns. That's what it is. It's all about reestablishing or establishing healthy eating patterns, thought patterns too. There's a big correlation between the mind and the body. We know it. We hear about it all the time. And those amazing stories we hear. So it's a good place to leave off on, guys. If you need help, get in touch with me. Like I said, my email's in there. Please like, share, subscribe, and we'll get more good videos to you coming soon. All right. Enjoy your week. Get the book, and we'll talk again. All right. Thanks, guys.